All right, and welcome to week 5. In week 4, last week, you actually created a 3D prop. Your first 3D object that actually follow the rules of 3D video game. That's what's important. Remember, doing 3D, you can do it many ways. But to work in the video game, you got only really a couple ways to do it because you have to follow those very strict rules now that you understand. It is very important that you understand that those rules may be flexible and change depending on the engine and the hardware you are using. So, first thing first, when you do a game, the first thing you do is check the hardware and the software, aka the engine that are going to be used in a project. That's the ABC of your job. All right. So now, as an artist in 3D, after you made the object, you need to now texture it. Give it colors and looks, so it's not gray looking. This is when we're gonna have to, in week 5, unwrap and texture our objects for 3D video games. This is where also your first weeks of work in the 2D game will come in. This is kind of, you know what I'm saying, is build, the class is built like that. I made you work in the 2D part at the beginning and sharpen up your skills to get you ready to do this week. Okay? So now, as well as when you did the classic pixel art character in the first week, that was to get you ready for the texturing this week, but also the modeling last week, to get to the essence of your object. Just like you had when you did classic pixel art. The class is built like that, very much so. So you get trained in the proper way to do things for video game, and you sharpen your skills at the same time. Okay, so this week you're gonna have to unwrap and texture your object. To texture an object in 3D, you gotta unwrap it. The unwrap it is what you did last week when you created the virtual studio by putting the picture on the plane. That's what it is. But last week you did it on one face, one plane. This week you have to do it on multiple planes. Okay? So this is very important that you follow the way it's done. So you want to make sure this is the objective, learning, alright? Learning projection, learning UV mapping 0 to 1 coordinate, learning and projecting your mesh using planar projection, because that's what we use 90% of the time in video game, planar projections, and UV mapping your mesh using that planar projection. Painting your texture in Photoshop, understand and create texture maps like color, specular, alpha, bump, and specular. Sorry, I put specular twice. I'll take it out. The color is the main one that you see. The specular is mainly the reflection of lights on a skin or on a border. The alpha channel is the transparency channel. The bump map, aka it's a black and white bump map, basically create a visual effect trickery that makes you think it's recessing or portraying. Okay? And I should have put here the normal map. The normal map is the same of the bump, alright, but the bump is black and white 8 bits. The normal map is red, green, and blue 24 bits. So it works better. It's a newer technique and it works much better. Okay, so now you have all those lectures to go through, which is the projection system in Maya. It'll show you, and it's not only in Maya, it's in 3D overall, so if you encounter other softwares, then you'll know what type of projection they might have. This is a pure lecture text file. Then you have the shaders intro, which define your texture are made of shaders, basically. The shader is like a box into which there's multiple type of elements that define the color, the aspect, the ruggery aspect, the bump of it, and so forth, the texture of it. That's what the shader is. So that lecture defines all the shaders you can find in Maya. And then you have the actual process of unwrapping your mesh for video games. That's very important. So creating your UV map like that, that's crucial to the class. And then after that, you have a sample of a texturing of a little bush. All right, you guys, using Maya, which will demonstrate color and alpha channels. So look at that, please. You obviously will then go into the 3D texture painting main lecture videos, which is basically after you unwrap it, but you start texturing it because it's possible. Now it went from a 3D coordinate system into a 2D coordinate system, so it'll work much better like that, and you're able to paint it properly. Okay, I might add some lecture later on tomorrow about painting in Adobe Photoshop, but a lot of you won't be able to do that. It's kind of very demanding on the machine, but you can bring an object from Maya into Adobe Photoshop and paint it to there also. But it is a little tricky to set up, but I'll try to do a lecture on that, a video for you guys on that ASAP. Then after that, you should go into your extra points. It's definitely worth it on that one. It is the creation of a normal map. A normal map is one of the big kahuna right now in the game industry as being the map that makes it more geometry when you don't have it. It'll basically make it look like you have more muscles, better rounded shapes when you don't. Alright, so it's very important because it keeps the engine and the game running fast, but it still looks real good. And that's what we lacked 10 years ago, pretty much. So when I was in the industry, we didn't have that. We had the bump map, which is very similar, but doesn't give even close to a result to that. Okay. Now, to be able to do your extra points, don't forget to actually go to the Crazy Bump website, which is a software that will make all your maps for you if you give a picture or a map that you've done. So if you painted a map, you can open it up in Crazy Bump, and it'll do for you the color map, the specular map, the alpha channel, the bump. Everything will be there. The color, everything will be there. Okay. So do all those lectures, then go into reading chapter 3 and chapter 4 in the book. Obviously, and do your assignment 5 and post it to the discussion board. And your assignment 5, as seen right here, is very simple. You just simply have to texture your object using the technique I just showed you. You have to create your own texture using Photoshop from one main picture with all sides and texture of your object composited in one map, meaning every part of your object that is texture, the textures needs to be on one map only. You cannot have multiple maps. It's one map only per channel. So one map for color if you do one map for specular if you do specular, one map for normal if you do normal. Okay? But just one map per channel. And color is a channel, normal is a channel. You know what I'm saying? Catch my drift? Alright. Texture your object using UV mapping and then paint Photoshop, basically finalizing of that. Okay? So that is pretty much your work this week. Don't forget to post it on the forum quickly so we can look at it. You are almost there. You're doing great. This week will be a lot of work, so make sure you start early. Thank you.